Welcome, fellow Jedi and Sith. You are tuning into Imperial Radio, your all-talk weekly Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Kobe Larson.
And I am your other host, Alex Wormstead.
How we doing tonight, Al?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing great as well. We got some pretty decent news this week. Even of the Star Wars variety. I mean, there's tons of news out there, but the Star Wars news,
some exciting news.
It's very bigly, you could say.
It's huge.
It's huge, possibly the greatest ever. And it's something that me and Al have talked about before. I mean, obviously, you guys all probably know what it is. Obviously, there are talks of the open world Star Wars game, right? That everyone keeps talking about. Supposedly, it's a Ubisoft venture. I just might as well just get right into it because I don't even know how to word it any better. Basically, sounds like we are getting an open world Star Wars game, and it's gonna be made by Ubisoft. Ubisoft. People say it differently. Ubisoft.
Yeah, I just call it Far Cry's.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed.com, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Let's just. What are your thoughts on this, Al? Your base thoughts, not getting into like what it's going to be about or anything. Just what you think about. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Definitely been a long time coming and definitely needed to happen. I feel like it wasn't if it was going to happen, it was when. With today's age of video games being a huge portrayal of everything, whether that be Call of Duty, they have their own little story, really. They could, if they really wanted to, they could do a movie.
Oh, easily. I mean, with the complex story that a lot of games, even the games like the shooters that have complex story campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you there.
We have went above and beyond when it comes to video games. And I'm glad to see not just Star Wars, but other things going into that direction to further the story on a relatively cheap cost and actually gets you involved in that story. So I feel like it was bound to happen at some time, and I'm excited for it.
I'm absolutely excited. So one of the biggest talking points around the new game, open world Star Wars game, is with the current generation of Star Wars that we live in. The biggest question, besides the who's kind of doing it and how it's going to be, the Ubisoft thing is a very talked about talking point, but going into the actual game, the biggest thing that I'm hearing about is this original trilogy? Is this prequel trilogy? Right. Is it sequel? Is it something else?
Yeah.
You talk. Me and Al were talking about this beforehand, and you talk about things like the High Republic publishing initiative that's currently just those books just dropped. I haven't ordered them or anything yet. I think I'm gonna do the audiobooks for those. And
Fun fact, actually.
Yeah. What's
Sorry
that?
to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
I was at Sam's Club.
Okay.
The other day.
Yeah.
And the other day was a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And sitting on the shelf there, I meant to send you a picture and I never did, was a High Republic book that was not dropped. I Google searched it, but somehow was on Sam's Club shelf and I didn't buy it.
Do you remember what it was called?
It was an adult book. I know it wasn't the one with the Wookiee on it, but if I seen the cover, I could definitely.
Okay.
Definitely tell you.
Maybe it was one of the, I think they might have dropped one of the like there's a book that's just a regular book, and there's like kind of like a kid's book more geared towards kids.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it might have been that.
Might have been. But
I don't know
it looked pretty like adultish, and I literally just seen the post that day about these books that were, and it said coming, and
right.
There was this, they showed all the covers of them
in
that post. You know what post I'm talking about, but
right.
It was on there, and I was like, "What the heck? This thing is like not supposed to be released yet."
Bro, you could have freaking grabbed that thing. It's probably street dated. You probably wouldn't have been able to buy it, but hell, you could have grabbed that thing, see if you could have bought it, and been like, "I got this." So many. I've definitely seen that in stores. Being the collector that I am, all the things I collect. Most often it happens with Lego. They put their sets out. Say they're supposed to come out we'll just say the sets are supposed to come out today, January 19th or something like that, and then you go there 2 weeks before. Say it's like, the 5th or something like that. A lot of times they'll have the sets out. Not so, and around here they're not too anal about it, but you get into like, I don't know if it's a bigger city thing or if it's like if you go to different chains. Like around here, I go to Walmart to buy most of my stuff, but if you get in like the Targets and stuff like that, they have what is called street dating and do it for all kinds of products. But it's basically the company. So like Lego will say, hey, you should release this. This is a suggested day you should release this product, but you can release it, a couple days before, a couple days after. They give you like a time frame.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll put them on the shelves, like before they have them in the system or something of that variety. Basically, so it'll be on the shelf, but you're not allowed to buy it. It's the dumbest thing ever. I think it's mainly a Target thing that happens. It's really dumb, but I think that happens a lot with big entities like Star Wars, where there is a company. Star Wars makes toys and books, and I mean Star Wars makes everything. I mean,
they
we're
literally
talking about
make
this over Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Star Wars gifts that I got are the Baby Yoda and Mandalorian and R2D2 BB-8 type of little gifts
that's
that I got.
what's awesome is they make stuff for toddlers.
They make
whether that be
everything.
chewing toys, for toddlers, whatever those rings. They make Star Wars rings. They make pacifiers that probably have Yoda on them or something.
Probably. I mean, they make anything. They
make everything. They make everything from a week-old child to a 99-year-old man.
Bro, you could probably go to like O'Reilly's or something like that and be like, you guys got Baby Yoda car jacks? And they'd be like, yeah, we just got a fresh shipment in today.
Or like a what are those girls called that sit on your hood?
The
hula girls. Yeah,
or
I bet you they got some Star Wars ones or
Is
something.
that what they're called? Hula. Is it hula?
I feel like it's hula. I thought it was. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, I think it's hula girls. That word sounded goofy when he said it. But yeah, the biggest thing with the open world Star Wars game is obviously the time frame. That's going to be a really big not a deciding factor, but a really big factor for a lot of people.
I think it's going to be huge for not the selling standpoint, but kind of the direction of what they can do with it.
Oh yeah,
this
for
game
sure.
I feel like is going to be, like not the Star Wars game that ends all Star Wars games or whatever you want to say.
No,
but
probably not. It'll probably just be
I
a
feel like
Fallen Order type game where it'll have a pretty good following, sell pretty well, but it's not going to be like a Battlefront 2 or anything like that.
I feel like it could, though, depending on the direction they go.
You mean like it as big as Battlefront 2? Because Battlefront 2 is huge. It's probably one of the biggest Star Wars games to date. Right.
And that all comes with where they decide to go and the direction they go.
Right.
Like, for instance, with DLCs.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be, and that's people. Another big piece of news that came with this, if you didn't hear, Lucasfilm Limited or Lucasfilm, whatever it is now, has like not reclaimed, but what would be the word? They are beginning to oversee the video game side of Star Wars again.
Yep.
And they're kind of like managing that, whereas before, they basically Lucasfilm Games is kind of like a reignited company now.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool because that way you have, obviously we got Battlefront and Battlefront 2 and
which were amazing games.
And Fallen Order and Squadrons. We've gotten a lot of games. I mean, think of all the games we've gotten from Star Wars just since the Disney buyout.
Right.
You didn't really have to worry. Not that like Disney doesn't
and to come Lego.
Right. Oh, the Legos. Oh, dude.
I know. I kind of forgot about that now.
I'm just getting so juiced for that because I keep seeing stuff about it. I'm like, oh, I want it now.
You know how exciting it would be if it was like an open world Lego? Oh my god.
Dude, they combine them. It's the Ubisoft open world Lego Star Wars game. I'd play it.
I
would play the shit out of that. I mean,
do the custom character Lego thing again.
It'd be pretty easy character customization.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And okay. So, obviously, me and Al have very differing opinions anymore about how much Disney gets involved in things and what kind of happens when you get too much. We both agree that too much Disney involvement overhead is definitely a scary thing for any Star Wars project, whether that be a movie or
Absolutely.
a game, or if you get too much of one, even back in the day when it was George's way or the highway. Think about the prequels, right?
Right.
It was George's way or the highway, and people came up to him like, George, this dialogue for these movies is terrible. You can't use this. And he's like, no, actually, I think it's a pretty good dialogue. Actually, I think you should just say what I wrote on the paper. God damn it! Otherwise, you're fired. I'll find someone else. And then
take off your bra. They don't wear space.
And then it comes out that like, oh, hey, the dialogue in these movies is not very good. And he's like, oh crap, I probably should have listened. But it was all George Lucas. He was the one. He's like, this is what we want. This is when we want it. This is how we want it. And it's done. That's it. My way or the highway.
Yep.
No substitutions type of stuff. And I feel like that's a lot of people get concerned about Disney being the same way.
Oh, I do, absolutely. It's the thing of one head guy overseeing something, and that's whether it's Star Wars or not. One head guy thinking it's their way or the highway. Or like a business, like a board of directors or whatever, a group of people putting it into a discussion and jumbling all of their ideas and making it the best it can be, which is awesome.
A lot of times what happens is how many times can you say is in a sentence? Jeez. A lot of times
better than like. It's better than like.
So like basically like, but a lot of times what happens is that it starts with, we'll just say it starts with Ubisoft, right? Ubisoft, they start developing this game, and it's kind of like in its pre-production stage. They're just kind of developing it. They haven't started doing anything, but it's basically like pitching ideas, right? And then Ubisoft takes it goes through their board of people, and they're like, yeah, we like this, because they're a video game company. They know the ins and outs of video games. But that's all they know video games. They don't know, PR and marketing. I mean, maybe a little marketing, but you know what I mean? They're a video game specialist. And you take it up to Lucasfilm, and they're the next step up, and they go, this is a great video game, because we kind of know video games, but like, it could be a little, maybe we need to do some things on the marketing or the PR or the all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then they're like, but we like it. And then they take it up to, maybe Disney, or even back in the day when it was like George Lucas was like, I mean, he was making, and he did all of it for everything for Star Wars, but like, just say it makes it up to the Disney guys. Say it makes it up to Kathleen Kennedy and Pablo Hidalgo, whoever else is looking at this to finally clear it so they can put the Disney stamp on it, the Disney stamp of approval. And they go, okay, like Fallen Order, for example. It was a pretty, it definitely wasn't a kid's game, it was, but the thing is before, so Disney had this deal where they're like, we really like the game, and I don't necessarily know if it was necessarily Disney, but it got to a higher up level. I don't know if it was the Disney execs or whatever. I think it was, but they were basically like, hey, great game. We're okay with the violence in it, but it's like, because it was supposed to be like, cutting off arms and like decapitating, and they're like, let's not do that. Let's dial back on the decapitations and which to a point I understand. At the same time, it sucks, but I also kind of understand you want to reach a T for teen audience, not so much a mature Star Wars game,
right?
Which is something we'll have to live with as Disney owns Star Wars. We're never really going to have mature Star Wars games, and we're never going to have rated R movies. It's
right, but the thing is with this open world game, I hope, just because for the sake of open world, and it almost needs to be just that hint more of mature. It doesn't have to be
not the mature label, but get some stuff in there to get some substance abuse and some partial nudity. I don't know, whatever you got to do.
I mean, I feel like to get that full experience, to feel like you're in the Star Wars world, we need to have some raw action.
No, and I agree with that totally.
Whether that happens or not because of Disney, I do not know.
I think, to me personally, I think the game will be good. I think they'll let Ubisoft kind of not run wild with it, but I definitely bet they'll kind of give them their space and let them work, just because Ubisoft is such a big company for gaming. Like, I mean, they're like one of the four horsemen type of deal, where like, you got your Activisions and which Ubisoft I think is owned by some. I know Activision is is a big one. They go down to they do anything from Call of Duty to I think Activision owns Blizzard, and they do the World of Warcrafts and the League of Legends and that kind of stuff. But
and Activision used to do hunting games.
Right, they
Cabela's. They did a lot of Cabela's
Activision
games.
is a parent company. They have a ton of different individual.
Right.
Ubisoft, I think, is owned by someone. I think I'm not honestly that up to date on that, but it's just the thing where Ubisoft is a well-known gaming company. They're not, DICE is well-known-ish, but it's not like they're not Ubisoft. You know what I mean?
Right.
And Epic Games before Fortnite and the few other projects they had before that, they're
right.
not Ubisoft. So it's, you know what I mean? It's just, I think
is it the top dog for open world game?
Absolutely not, because no one comes close to Rockstar.
No, but at the same time, it's kind of like a Ford Chevy Case John Deere debate.
Absolutely.
Of open world games because people love
those are tractors for all you non-yokel people.
Yeah, tratters.
Tratters.
Anyway.
Okay, here's a question. So, now think about this. We really got to turn the thinking caps on here. Think about this from an out-of-body perspective. Think about it from what you want, but also what you want to work. What time frame do you think this needs to be set in?
What I think needs to happen, which for just for the safe bet of sales say I am the head guy of this game.
Right.
I'm putting personal beliefs aside. I am strictly thinking about money because at the end of the day, this is about money.
It has to sell well.
And I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be original trilogy just because it's the universal.
It is. That's what I think too.
It is the center ground of Star Wars.
It is. It's because it's something that if you put it somewhere else, not to bash anybody, but if you put it somewhere else, a lot of times the OT people will complain.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it in the OTs, you make the OT old heads happy. But no, we are prequel kids. We love the prequels. I love all Star Wars.
Well, I'm just with the standpoint of a lot of these video games too. Going back to Battlefront.
Right.
The original, they just stuck to the original.
Right, because they're we need to pull the whole Star Wars fandom. Because if we make this a prequel video game, your old heads that still hate the prequels are going to be like, I don't play this, I don't care.
Yeah. And then the Fallen Order, same thing.
Fallen Order was a nice gap, and that's kind of where I almost feel like the only thing is this game. What a lot of people struggle with games like this. Okay, like Fallen Order. What happens in Fallen Order is canon. It's canon material.
Yep.
But how do you canonize the story of an open world Star Wars game? Because you can do whatever you want.
I feel like it's going to be. This is what. Okay. So. I think
it's a difficult concept, so don't beat yourself up thinking about it, because a lot of people have very different opinions on how this works.
So the way I think this pans out and works, I'm still sitting here as an executive in the executive spot.
Okay.
It's going to be in the original trilogy time frame.
Yep.
Just for the sake of universal sales. We've went through this. Next, I'm going to do, I got a big thing. I can make this a canon thing. I want to. I am the head guy here.
Okay.
I'm not looking at this now as Disney.
Right.
I'm looking at this as Ubisoft.
Right.
I am wanting to make my footprint in Star Wars as well.
Right.
So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it very similar to like a Rockstar game. Not saying it's going to be a Rockstar game because it's not. But what I'm saying is I'm going to push open world with a story first.
Okay.
Release it as a story first.
Sure.
Give more time to develop this online. Whether that needs to be a year, 6 months, 2 years.
Right.
I wouldn't think it would take 2 years,
No,
but we
but-
don't know.
Maybe 6 months at the max.
Yeah.
But no, and I get that, and I agree with that. I don't know if that's the way if they were like, here's all the options, choose. I don't know if that's the way I'd go, but I like that option because basically
I just feel like it'd be a good way to
you need
get
a
your
story.
foot through the door with the story
Right.
standpoint.
Because if there is no like campaign, essentially, because a lot of games are open world, but there's a story, but like GTA, you play the campaign offline. You just do the campaign and but it's still open world. Like you can still
Right.
go and do whatever the heck you want, but you are within the game mode of campaign.
Yep.
Then you go to online where it's the same thing. You can go and do whatever you want. There's missions and all that, but you don't. There's no story. That would
Right.
not be there. It's easy that way to say
And
what you do
see-
online is not canon, but that story that you play, even when you go and mess around in between missions, when you do those missions, those are canon and those are official Star Wars content.
Yep. And so, what direction they go with is going to be interesting because I could see them pushing a air quotes here open world game and just doing a story.
Another thought that I had with that too. Continue though.
Is because they could just do a story, but it's open world where you can screw around, in between missions. But back to the selling standpoint, every video game today that is successful, I mean, Fallen Order didn't have an online, but at the same point, imagine if it did.
Right.
I mean,
Something to go and screw around.
Yeah.
I mean, even with half the capabilities of the game at base. I mean,
right.
right.
Just,
I'd
you know,
like that.
The story, I'd like to see multiple planets. And, the online, you can set that on one planet. I don't care. But I feel like for this to be a, 4-year venture game, if you're going to spend all this money making it open world, got to have online. Got to.
Okay. 1 second here. I mean, we got the easy cheese and the crackers out.
Oh, yeah.
So, we had to eat some of them's. Basically, what I was thinking, how I think the game, we're gonna kind of go in depth about. Excuse me. Oh, that's so much better. I had less cheese in my gums.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is we go into what we think is going to happen realistically. How we think where the game is going to be set, what you're going to do, what it's going to be like, the whole, the gameplay and everything like that. And then after we get done with that, because, that's obviously the difference is there's a realistic outcome and then there's like our little fanboy, ooh-wee outcomes that we really want to happen.
We have the realistic sit in the executive chair, and then we're going to have our...
the crackhead in the corner. It's like, what if
yeah.
just like space meth?
Yes. Death sticks will be in the game.
Breaking Bad, Star Wars open world game selling death sticks. Selling space meth. But my realistic view of how I see the game going, I think it's OT, and that's I would almost I think the best place to put an open world Star Wars game is exactly where Fallen Order is. Well, not so much right where Fallen Order is, but like in between 3 and 4. I think that's the best place to put
I agree.
an open world Star Wars game, because that's when like times are like super tense. There's a lot of like,
and at the same time, there's so much story in between that time, and the story that we're getting in today's Star Wars, it is taking place after 6.
right.
And we don't know everything in between 4 through 6, but we know majority of what's been
Right,
going
and it's
on.
and you there is a lot that's there to assume. You assume that Luke trains more. You assume that Han and our recording shut off there. No more Family Guy.
That's okay.
So my thought process behind it was that realistically, it's got to be OT because
Yep.
they've already kind of touched on the pre-Empire or beginning early stages Empire era with Fallen Order, and they're not going to trample over Fallen Order's shoes, over their footsteps, over their shoes, because that's just not something Disney will do. When Disney makes something, they make it to be around for the that's when Disney makes. Not Disney, but basically when there's a new Star Wars game, there's a new Star Wars book, there's a new Star Wars movie, comic, whatever. It's not going to be like the old ways of Star Wars where, you write your book and I write mine. Mine might kind of walk over your crap, but I don't care because I'm an individual and I don't care about your book. Disney owns everything now, and they got to make sure everything works and everything coincides together, and there's a lot there to maintain. That's why I feel like they got to put it in an area where it's open, but in an area also that's open, hasn't been explored too much, but is known enough in the community and can pull everybody together. Because sales are 100%. You think sales are key for a movie?
Yeah.
Talk about video games. Video games have to sell.
They have to have appeal to everyone.
Right.
And that has to have sex appeal even. I mean, there has to be sex appeal for the females and the males.
Absolutely. We want more wieners in video games.
Well, we'll just go now. We'll just go straight to some office quotes. Sex sells, Jim. Yep. And it does.
It does.
It does sell. You look at any commercial or show, how they promote it, it either revolves around action or sex.
Right.
And most of the time, both.
Yep.
So, but anyway, steering toward or clear of that.
Yeah.
Something that I think is almost a hot take, but I think it is realistically what's going to happen.
Let's hear it.
Okay, I need to take a breath here.
He's got like the pen like rolled up in the finger type of deal. Like he is serious arm movements right now. I wish you guys could see it.
If you'd see us,
he's about to start pounding on the table.
We look like political analysts right now. It's crazy. But, okay, I think that this will have some, but at the end of the day, absolutely nothing to do with a lot of the main story. Hear me out on this.
Okay.
I think that it's going to be kind of, but not really, kind of like the Assassin's Creed game, but just like a bounty hunter. Just that way they can steer clear of crossing over their own path.
Yeah. I think that
is almost a hot take. That's how crazy it is. But that's the most safe bet that anyone can do for this, if they do a story.
Well, in the first place that anybody goes with a Star Wars game is Jedi. That's the first place you go.
And I'm not going to lie. I just think that the mechanics of those type of games, like with Assassin's Creed, they could do it, but at the same time, you just confuse mechanics with that when you're using the Force. I mean, if you're playing the GameCube and the Wii playing Lego, it's awesome. They mastered the mechanics of it.
Right.
But I feel like it's got to be just a third-person shooter.
Third-person shooter. Yeah.
It's going to be because, think of this, I'm an executive. I mean, everybody wants to use the Force, right?
Right.
So that's a sell point. But at the same time, some people don't want to use Force. Some people just want to shoot people. Some people don't give a rat's butt about Star Wars. So this has got to sell those people.
It's got to, the thing, that's, and that's something that they talked about with like Battlefront. They're like, we're trying to sell this game to people that don't even like Star Wars. Like that's not the only group, but they're trying to sell to everybody. Video games cannot just go to Star Wars fans.
Right, because at the end of the day, these are not Star Wars fans creating this game.
Right. These are,
these are a Star Wars group of people telling this video game group of people, make this game. Now, that communication between the two from the Star Wars group of people, they're going to dictate what this video game group of people do.
Right.
The video game group of people are going to make this thing the best.
Absolutely.
Whether that is a good game or not, it is going to be the best thing that they get from the people telling them what to do.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, it's not the video game publishers' problems with these games when it comes to Star Wars games.
Right. And that's where, like, I feel like, it's really easy to go and say like, oh, you're a surviving Jedi of Order 66 and you can use a lightsaber, and it's like that Fallen Order to me was a game that they made for Star Wars fans.
Yep.
This game to be open world, it's probably gonna be one of those where it's maintained over the course of time. Because like when I got done playing Fallen Order, I was done. I mean, I haven't touched it since I beat it. I mean, I fiddled around with it for like a day after maybe, but I was done with it then.
Yeah.
So an open world Star Wars game is going to be like a GTA or even like an Assassin's Creed or something like that. Something, especially if it has an online. If it has an online, it has to be maintained. This game will be going on for hopefully a year or two after its initial release of people still playing it.
Right.
So
and
how
that's
do you know?
Where
so
we
that's
talked with the time frame about what's the best thing for sales, what's the best thing for DLC content, because at the end of the day, if you can compute something into this that is relatively cheap and relatively easy, you have all the code done, you have everything done. All you got to do is punch in some more stuff for whatever price. It's a lot more money for a little bit more of a game,
Right.
and that's a lot more time spent in this game. And then you have the in-app purchases, if you will, that you're going to still generate.
Right.
So for an open-world game like this, lifespan, most of the time, 2 to 3 years for open-world games.
Right.
But at the same time, you look at games like GTA 5.
This
thing's been out since 2013.
This game is about to be played heavily, one of the most heavily played games in the world, on its third-gen console.
Yeah.
It was on the
Imagine
the
a
three-
game
the
coming out
PS3
on the
360.
PS1 and making it all the way to the PS3. That's crazy.
Right.
You know? I mean, think of that, of how that game has and that's kudos to Rockstar.
Right.
And
They
this is
started
not a
in the-
Rockstar game, and I think they can do it. Their engines are crazy good
Right.
at Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they have great success early, like GTA 5 did.
Success.
Yes, great success. I think if they have great early on success, that this game could be in for the long haul. I'm not saying as long as GTA 5, but I'm saying 4 years, 5 years if you push it hard.
Man, they'd really have to. They'd
Right.
really have to hit home with this game. This game would have to be huge for that. How I see it is like, I think it will be I think it's gonna be, how everyone was like, oh, Battlefront is just a clone of Battlefield. It kind of was. It was still awesome. I didn't care. I thought it was awesome. I think this game will be kind of like a clone to Assassin's Creed in the gameplay, not like your character. I don't think your character's not going to move like Ezio or all the other Assassin's Creed dudes. Like he's not going to move like those guys and like climb on buildings and crap like that. You're going to walk normal and stuff like that. I feel like you're just going to be a normal everyday Star Wars Galaxy citizen. But like just the way you go about the games, the missions, and if there is missions. I mean, they haven't even confirmed yet, as far as my knowledge, is if this is going to be like a game that has a campaign, or if it's just going to be a straight up like MMO, like a World of Warcraft, or something like that, where you get online with your friends and you go and you just do stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they haven't even said if it's going to be like mission. As far as I know, if it's going to be like missions and a campaign along with online, or if it's just going to be online or no online or whatever, So, I mean, that is left up to interpretation, or left up to when we actually find out. But if there is like a campaign, I think it's going to be a lot like Assassin's Creed minus the actual physical player movement. I feel like you'll move more like a Star Wars person than a Revolutionary War assassin.
And see, I totally agree. I think that it's going to be kind of it's super easy to just clone a game that's worked.
Right.
And I'm completely fine with that, because Assassin's Creed is another game like a Call of Duty that has had great success, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I mean, they do keep doing the same thing.
Literally just a
over
different story
and
at a
over
different
again.
time, and yeah.
So, can they make it work with Star Wars?
I absolutely think they can.
I think they
nobody
can.
thought they'd make Battlefield work with Star Wars, and they did that first Battlefront. They're like this just ain't gonna work. It's not the same thing shooting stuff in the real world as it is with Star Wars blasters. And it's like, I don't know, man. I loved Battlefront 1. I love Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, the problem with Battlefront 2 right away was it wasn't the gameplay. It was the very dicey, if you will. It wasn't DICE, it was EA, but the very
Money craved.
yeah, I was trying to think of the word, very sketchy acts of like, the microtransactions and having to basically pay to play, and just that really turned a lot of people off. And then there was better games that came, and they missed their opportunity. But now I think it's the greatest Star Wars game that's ever been made. I actually said that.
I
In a
agree.
recent TikTok, I was like, dude, Battlefront 2 is the best all around Star Wars game. It's not the best in any category, but it's the best all around Star Wars game. What other game can you do what you do in Battlefront 2 all in one game?
Well, that's the thing with
Besides,
games like that,
but
is that they have a limited map space, and they can hit home with all three phases of Star Wars fans.
right.
Which is awesome.
But that game is huge, though. I mean, you got
it is huge.
prequels, OTs, and sequels.
So many
the
DLCs.
the amount of maps they have, the amount of, the amount of planets. Plus, there's like multiple maps per. On some of them, there's multiple maps per planet. Like, you go to Tatooine, you can go to Jabba's palace or Mos Eisley. You go to Naboo, you can be in the palace hangar. You can be in the city of Thieves. Like, dude, Battlefront 2 just and the heroes, dude, the heroes and the villains.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
We were talking about that actually one time off the air. That I believe it was off the air, though, wasn't it? That we said that you could literally just.
Oh no, this was on it. This was last.
Oh yeah,
episode.
because we
Yeah.
you could just do a heroes versus villains game.
Video game, yeah, and people would buy that. But with this game, I feel like it's right now it's really easy to get like super hyped and be like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna be able to do this and this. I feel like it's gonna be not like a low key game, but like one where it's like it's gonna be one of those less is more things. I feel like it's gonna be, maybe not dumbed down. What's the word to not make it sound underwhelming?
Simplify.
They're going to simplify it. Yeah, I think they're going to simplify it, but they're going to do super well with what they dumb it down to.
Yeah. Bless you.
I had to sneeze. Yeah, I think they're going to stick to just a few things, a few tropes of video games, but I think they're just going to do it really well, because that is kind of what Ubisoft does with like Assassin's Creed. Now, I've never really played Far Cry. That was one you mentioned too. I had Far Cry 3. Far Cry Primal looked pretty good. I never played it, but yeah, those games, like, I never played those. But the Assassin's Creed I played, and if it's anything like that in a Star Wars universe, sign me up.
Yeah.
I mean, sign me up anyway. I'm gonna play it even if they said it takes place in freaking Chewbacca's asshole. I mean, I'm playing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it no matter what. It's very exciting.
Yeah, take over for me real quick. I gotta go schnizzle again.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be very exciting, and I'm extremely ready for it. It's probably one of the most hyped things that I've been. Well, it's not really. I mean, it's gonna be hyped, but it's not. It's the most excited about thing in Star Wars that I've had. Oh man, I'm excited. Like, genuinely excited. If you guys can't tell by this episode, I'm so excited. Like I can't even. I just keep saying it because I'm so excited.
You're so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited for The Force Awakens. Really excited.
Yeah.
But this
is bigger.
I don't know why, but it is.
You know something that got me, Force Awakens, excited? So there's talks with, outside of even just this open world game, with the Lucasfilm, or the LucasArts, Lucasfilm, whatever they're saying now, is with the takeover back, they're taking back over the video game portions of Star Wars. There's talks because EA no longer has the sole license, but EA still is going to make video games. supposedly EA has a couple more games they're gonna make before the license is up. I think in 2023. I want to say. But they have a couple more games that they plan on making. Obviously, there's going to be a Fallen Order sequel. I could see that game being a trilogy. I know there's already a Fallen Order sequel because they're already working on it. But that one could even be a trilogy. But I think they have 3 or 4 more games that EA's making. You gotta imagine. I don't know if you gotta imagine, but like Battlefront 3. I mean, the only thing that makes me feel like no, not Battlefront 3, that's not a thing and it's not going to happen, is what do you do? I mean, what makes it the 3? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get any better than that unless you just make it bigger? More maps, more characters. I mean, that would be awesome. I'd buy it. I hope that's the way it goes. But I feel like Battlefront 2 brought something that Battlefront 1 didn't. So there was a reason for it to be Battlefront 2 because it was different. It had a campaign and it had all 3 trilogies, and it encompassed the more overall things than Battlefront 1 did. But if they did a Battlefront 3, what would, how do you make it Battlefront 3? How do you make it worthy to be a third game?
The only thing that just shouts at you like a neon sign, if they were to make a third one, would be honestly just, incorporate more characters and more maps. And the more maps, honestly, would just be like maybe some Clone Wars maps. And if they could really involve the Mandalorian and like the Book of Boba Fett to come.
That's another thing, too, is the landscape of Star Wars that... Think back to, 2014, late 2014, early 2015, before Battlefront 1 came out.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the landscape of Star Wars and what it was like, because that was before Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Think about what that was like. Before we had the sequels, before we had The Mandalorian, there was no Baby Yodas, there was no... There was no, like, Clone Wars. The landscape of Star Wars is ever-changing, but it was so different. Back then, we only had 6 movies, dude. I mean, just think about that. We were 3 movies short of what we are now, plus no Disney streaming service. No, Star Wars is
Let alone no Force Awakens, Solo.
Solo and Rogue One. Yeah, I feel like that one you gotta hear.
Nah.
It was a ripped good one. No, and my thing is like the landscape of Star Wars is always ever changing, and it's moving so fast now. So what is the landscape of Star Wars going to be like in a couple of years when this game comes out? Because I feel like it's got to be 2 or 3 more years.
Oh,
probably 2, at least 2.
I could see this game being in development for quite a long time, honestly, actually.
I'd be willing to wait.
I'd be willing to wait upwards of 5 years.
If they made it like a... Wow. If they're going to do that, I'd be like, can you just, like, forward it over to Rockstar?
Yeah.
Unless, what if Ubisoft and Rockstar work together and they're like, let's make a co-game?
That would be...
They split their development groups and they have some Ubisoft guys and some Rockstar guys and they make a co-ed team. That would be dope.
It would be dope. I feel like it'd be hectic, though. I feel like it'd be a lot of butting heads almost.
Yeah, probably, but...
You guys do it that way? What a bunch of losers. We do it this way.
What a bunch of losers. There isn't even any crack whores in your guys' game? What the hell? So when do we put in the shark cards?
Yeah, I think, I really
what are the
do.
cheat codes? How do you unlock the helicopters and stuff?
I think they're really going to wait for these next-gen consoles to sink their teeth into new people.
Oh, yeah. That's
Which is going to suck, because I'm not going to buy a new console unless I absolutely... Because I don't play video games anymore,
Well, here's another thing, too, is the next-gen consoles are more than just, a name and a number. Like, games on next-gen are next-gen. They're a whole new generation better.
Mm-hmm.
Better graphic. I mean, games look... You look at the type of games you played on the PS2... versus what you're playing now on the PS5 or
even if you go back and look at PS3 compared to PS4.
Right. Oh, right.
It's nuts.
Even just
if you go play GTA 5 on PS3, you're going to be amazed about how you've never noticed it gradually get better.
Oh, because you don't. Because at the time, even in 2013, 2014, we're playing. I played it on Xbox 360, and I'm like, this game's awesome. These are good graphics. These are great graphics.
I remember playing GTA 4 on the PS3 and going, these graphics are nuts.
These graphics are insane. You can barely see where, you can barely see the major flaws in these graphics, and then. Yeah, then now we're so spoiled by game graphics now. I mean, think about how freaking good the graphics are
I know.
in like Battlefront 2.
It is crazy.
God.
And if you go from GTA 5 even on maybe next gen consoles to Red Dead Redemption on the PS4, that gets you excited for Rockstar games in the future just based off of how crazy they from 2013 to 2018 how upgraded their engine is and how crazy and the attention to detail. I will say that I don't know how you can get better than that. I'm really waiting for a game to be better than that.
Right.
I mean, granted, there is a lot of games that are that tier of graphic.
Right.
But, I mean, you got to tip your hat to these guys who are making these graphics. It's nuts. And that's why this Star Wars game graphics, they're going to wait till they sink their teeth in with the next gens.
Know what they got with the next consoles
and holy crap, it's going to be a game worth the wait, however long we have to wait. And also, I think it has the capabilities to be better than Battlefront 2.
Well, absolutely. Well, you're comparing apples to oranges there, but
it has the capabilities. And I'm just talking as like kind of like I have my own grading system for games.
Okay.
There is your games that are genuinely good and you love to play them by yourself. Like I love to play Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep.
Just the story. The online is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not GTA Online. Because one, Rockstar's a split house, and you've got probably upwards of 75% of the people working on GTA still.
Right.
And then you have probably 5% working on Red Dead Redemption, and then 10% working on the new GTA in its baby stages.
Mm-hmm.
So that's too hard to say, but I think it's got a lot of potential to be good. But my grading system is basically, like you have your friend games that are like fun.
Play with friends.
Nostalgic, high school style feel game.
Right.
You feel like you're a kid again. That's basically where I'm going with this.
Like a Call of Duty.
I hate to say it, but like Fortnite does that for me.
Oh yeah.
When I think back of good times, I think of that. I think
absolutely.
I think of Call of Duty. I think of GTA Online.
I think of the original Battlefront, GTA Online.
Yeah.
Games like that where you are.
You're engaged with others.
Alone? Maybe, but it's so much better if you got a friend online. You're never gonna choose to play it alone over playing with friends.
Right.
Then you got your games that are just fun games to play alone, or maybe just to co-op, or just one guy and just you and one guy and get on, have some fun. Like to me that was Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Just you coming over, you literally brought down the PlayStation, and we would play 2 PlayStations, 2 TVs, and just play together all night. And it was great. That's a great. And I wouldn't even be okay if the open world Star Wars game was more of a co-op. Maybe there is no online.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's no online. You're not running into Dick Slayer 49 who's coming to blow you up with a friggin' E11. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you say you just want to hop on my game on my world or whatever, and we get on and we go just tear it up together. But what I mean, I'd be okay with that.
I'd be completely fine with that.
I'd be okay if this game did not have online. Would I want to see it? Yes, I do want to see online. But if it didn't, I'd be like, oh, that kind of sucks. But I'm still gonna play it.
I am in the exact same boat. I think that this game will be successful with almost anything they do. Almost. That's just based on what time frame they decide on. We all know that, why I said that.
Right, and and that's the thing too. It's gotta be OT
You know it's gonna
or
be
around there.
it's gonna be.
It might not be set during the 3 OT movies.
It's gonna
there's
be
gonna
Imperial time.
There's gonna be stormtroopers. There's gonna be Star Destroyers. The general state of the galaxy is gonna be not good. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't good during the Clone Wars because there was a war going on, but like, people were definitely a lot happier during the Clone Wars because, like, you know, they weren't being ruled by freaking tyrants, and there was, you know, planets getting blown up by giant planet-killing weapons and stuff like that. But the general state of the galaxy is going to be, you know, look over your shoulder, like, always be on your heels type of thing, I feel like.
I do too.
It's just the easiest thing.
It's the easy way, yeah.
But you know why? If it ain't broken, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think that with all of this that we keep saying, I keep backtracking, but I do think this game will be successful no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts.
It's got that pedigree. I mean, it has to do well. So we kind of talked about what we think realistically is going to happen with this game. Give me. They came to your office, your head office, Al, the new intern developer for Star Wars games. And they're like, all right, here's your challenge, rookie. It's your game. Develop it. I mean, not like you don't have to physically develop it,
they're
but
just like
pitch it. You're the guy that does the pitch.
These guys are making it. It's going to be an open world game.
And they can
come up with a story.
They can do whatever you want. You don't have to. I mean, within the bounds of current science, but like they can do whatever you want based off of other video games that have already been made, kind of thing.
Well, first off, I'm going to make a teleporter so that way you can play 3D. Not
yeah, right.
Oh man, what would I do? First thing that I would do is I would fire Ubisoft and I would put to Rockstar. No, just kidding. I would put it about 50 years before The Phantom Menace.
50? Oh, I like that, actually.
So that way it's prequel.
Right.
But it's not the prequels that some love and some hate. It's new time. It would have nothing to do with basically anything Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jedi, Sith, that standpoint. It's going to obviously have stuff to do with Star Wars. The thing that I'm going to do with that is it's going to be open world, obviously, and, you know, I think the story is going to have, like, Mandalorian Civil War. That type of stuff.
Okay.
Not the Civil War.
Right, not the, like, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
One, but I got you.
Like a Civil War style thing. Just because it's got the Assassin's Creed guys making it, you know, they're gonna have a Mandalorian armored type guy. And granted, maybe some people are sick of that right now because there's so much Mandalorian stuff going on.
Find me someone who's sick of Mandalorians, dude.
Right.
Do they exist? But no, I get what you're saying.
But that story is going to take place. You're going to be a Mandalorian. You're going to maybe fight in the war, and you're going to have like almost like a Call of Duty style campaign with, you know, obviously the third person and all that, but like not like you're sneaking around by yourself. Like, I don't want that. I mean, people love that. I like it, sneaking around by yourself and doing stuff by yourself. But also, you know, some guys like a little AI help every once in a while.
Sure.
Just for our younger guys.
Yeah.
That, you know, too young to buy my mature game because it's going to be graphic as hell.
Right.
But their mom bought it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have some, you know, like a 4-person squad of Mandalorians.
Sure.
And you're going to do whatever. I'll have them guys come up with some ideas maybe just because I can't think of any right now.
Sure.
And then the online, it's going to have absolutely nothing to do with that.
Okay.
You're going to be a non-force user. It's going to be kind of like GTA. Again, because it's so easy to go off that foundation. If you want to be just whatever, you can be just whatever. If you want to be a bounty hunter, you can be a bounty hunter. If you want to be a freighter, go ahead. Boring choice, but go ahead.
Yep.
You know? But obviously, you know, crime syndicate lords, all that, we're going to really sell that. You can be a variety of races.
Yeah, right.
We're going to create that. We're going to make it awesome. You know, we're not going to steal the mom and dad thing from Rockstar, but we're going to give you options to adjust eyes, whatever.
Right.
Weight. I think weight's a huge thing. Everybody wants to be jacked, or maybe some people want to be funny and be fat. I don't know.
Right.
You know, we're going to have boob size. We're going to have dick size in there, you know.
It's going to be like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and then we're really going to push almost like team co-op based missions through the online. You know, we're going to have certain jobs to do with your friends. You know, like a 4-person squad again. This whole thing's going to be based off like a 4-person squad, basically, just because that's kind of the gaming universal squad number, 4.
Right.
So it's going to be 4 per. You can do whatever. You can go do bounties together if you choose to be a bounty hunter. You can go steal spice. You can create a freaking crime syndicate if you want, and you can actually have a 4-person squad with you. But it's going to be like what is it? A gang in GTA?
Sure.
Where you invite people.
Right.
You can get a huge group of people. There's going to be trophies that you get through the story that you can use online. Like, I don't know. Maybe you get to wear some cool armor that you could only get if you got a gold medal on a story mission. There's also going to be buyables. There's going to be stores. You can get whatever helmets you want. You know, say you actually liked playing as a Mandalorian and you want to be a Mandalorian in online.
Mm-hmm.
You can go steal Beskar from somewhere and you can forge it. Something like that. Okay. Basically, the sky is the limit with my online. But there's going to be incentive to play the story, too, if you want some really cool stuff.
Sure. A very GTA Rockstar-centric type of game, just with the Ubisoft stamp on it.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Anything else you like to add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The currency online.
Yeah. Like the in-game currency, or like
in-game
the
currency.
Real currency, like in real life.
They're not going to be called credits.
Okay.
Definitely going to be Mon Calamari.
What do they call it? Mon Cala, like quid or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
But yeah, I mean, basically, I think the coolest thing that would set everything out from Rockstar with this, whether you don't have to be a Star Wars fan to like this, because you can choose whatever you want, and there's going to be so many adjustments. Like, I'm talking crazy different adjustments from how Rockstar does some really cool stuff now with the parent idea. I don't know if you've done anything with that.
Right.
It's kind of cool where you actually get to choose your parents. This is what you're going to look like. But after that, that's it. Right. And then in Red Dead Redemption, they modified it where choose your parents. This is what you look like. If you want to make any adjustments, make some adjustments. Choose scars, whatever. But with this, there would be no mom and dad system. That's just boring. That's stupid.
Right.
It's cool, but it's kind of stupid. So we're going to choose, we're going to probably have... It's so like, money's not the option here.
Oh, absolutely not.
We're going to have...
This is fantasy realm.
At least 50 different species/race.
At least.
At least. If you want to be a Hutt, guess what? You ain't gonna be a Hutt, because I ain't gonna let you do that.
Because we ain't.
But
we ain't programming that. But anything that has 2 legs and arms.
Say you want to be a humanoid, you can be a humanoid. Say you want to be, like a Twi'lek, you can be Twi'lek. Say you want to be Yoda's species, and that's what it's gonna be called.
Absolutely.
You can be Yoda's species. I mean,
don't be Ariel Poof. You can be Ariel Poof.
Yeah. If you want to be, I don't know, let's say, The snow people. I forget their name, their actual name. I just call them snow people.
Oh, jeez. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. If you want, say you want to be a human mixed with Yoda species.
I was just going to say, are we doing some interbreeding here?
You can do some
Oh,
interbreeding.
good Lord.
There's only going to be certain things of interbreeding, like known interbreeding, you know?
Right.
Like,
things that are compatible.
yeah.
Not Huts and Yodas.
Right. We're going to do, like,
Yuts.
okay, so the base foundation of the interbreeding is going to be straight up, you have to be basically a humanoid.
Right.
But there's going to be some crazy drastic changes within your actual human footprint. But it's all going to be kind of the same, if that makes sense. Like, you ain't going to be a human with green hair and everyone's going to be human with green hair. You know, I mean, that'd just be boring.
Right.
It's going to be completely randomized, but it's going to be within the same footprint, if that makes sense. You're just probably going to be a human with a different hair color. Or whatever other, you know, like say you choose a different species and it's got this special characteristic about it, then you're going to have that special characteristic just like everybody else, except it's going to be essentially the same, and then whatever you decide to do to customization yourself after that, that's on you. Because at the end of the day, I feel like a big thing within this game is the buy-ins within the game, which is going to be everybody wants to wear a helmet in a Star Wars game, I feel like.
Right.
So I feel like most of the time people are going to be human. And it might just
Yeah.
be, you know, I mean, just, anyway, I can ramble on and on. What do you want to do?
What do I want to do?
What do you want to do?
Are you finished? I want to make sure you get your fleshed out thoughts in there.
I think I'm finished. I can talk all day about it.
Oh, sure. I could too.
I could say a pitch, and then I could backtrack it and say another pitch.
Right.
And make it better, and then I could backtrack and then go in the middle, in between the two. It's
Right. I gotcha. For mine, I would do very, very similar to yours. Same basis. Mine would be essentially that there is a, you know, very, very Rockstar, very GTA centric. There's a story, and the story is vastly different from the online. For me, the story, would be something I would put it.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead.
There will be properties in mine.
Oh yeah.
And it ain't gonna be stupid.
Buy a nice place on Coruscant.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be stupid. You know, it's not gonna be like, buy this condo in Coruscant and this building, and it's
the same building
from
in every place.
It's the same thing. There will be, which is gonna be hard, but money's not an option. There will be over 500 different properties.
Yeah.
And they will all be different. All of them. Probably not 500, but at least
a good amount.
50.
50.
At least 50.
Cut a zero off. That's good.
Cut a zero off. 500's not doable. That'd take 20 years to develop.
Yeah.
But 50's doable. I don't know.
I like that. Mine would go, so for story, it would be something along the lines, I mean, obviously not totally fleshed out, but like it would take place, both my story and online would take place pre-Empire, kind of between 3 and 4, but more, you won't notice as much in the online, but the story will take place specifically, you know, if you're putting years to it, like, we'll say like 5 years after Order 66.
Okay.
So it's been a couple years, but it's still kind of fresh, and the Empire is still kind of small, but big enough to be a superpower. So you are you get a pick in the beginning. You pick some general like traits. You kind of do like a trait quiz, and like it'll ask you some questions like, what would you do in this scenario? What would you do in this scenario? And you answer, and then you kind of get to choose a couple things, like I want to do this, I would like to do this, I want to do this, I want my general game experience to be like this, and there'll be like so many different outcomes, like 6 different starting points essentially. You can start out and you are just an average farmer on some planet, or you start out and you are you're like homeless on Coruscant. You live place to place.
Okay.
You live on the streets. All these. You say you start off and you are like a bounty hunter. You start off in a certain place in life across the entire, and there'll be so many planets you can hop to, and each mission will take you to a different planet, very similar to Fallen Order. You're going to go from this planet, do this planet, do this, but the object of the game is everyone. When I start the game, I might start as this, and you, Al, might start as something else. But eventually, you will all everything will cross, and you will end up kind of on the same path. It's just kind of how you start and how the overall. If you start as some street rat kid on Coruscant, maybe your first mission will be the Coruscant mission, and then you go and you work. Everything will be like very customizable as a story, but it'll still go on as a cohesive story.
Okay.
And it'll be you start off on Coruscant, you go, and like the Empire is bad, and no matter what, you are going to be obviously fighting the Empire. We gotta appeal to the good. We gotta appeal to the good kids, the good guys. But you will end up being Force sensitive, and not necessarily becoming a Jedi, but you will be Force sensitive because obviously you'll have like the main character's got to be a main character. Like there has to be something special about him. So you won't know it, but like you'll have these little like each mission you'll have like a little close call, and you'll be like, whoa, that was weird. And there aren't going to be any Jedi in my game though. Too many, Fallen Order already did that. I don't want to step on their toes. I'm already stepping on their toes enough with the time frame. But you will kind of like meet a character who's not a Jedi, but someone who is kind of a Republic loyalist, and there's a certain thing happening. This isn't totally fleshed out, but something's happening basically kind of like Fallen Order. Something's happening with the Empire and kind of things like it, and you want to stop that thing from happening. Something bad's going to happen. And like in my game, like you'll go to one mission is like you'll go to the Jedi Temple, and you'll be like, wow, I never knew that this is actually what happened. I thought the Jedi were traitors or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, no, that's not how it is. And you'll pick up a lightsaber from the floor of the Jedi Temple, and you will take it as your own, and you'll have a lightsaber. But you're not going to be like a Jedi or anything, but you'll have a lightsaber to use and stuff like that.
I like that idea.
Basically, you'll start at different points, but no matter what, you'll end up, at a certain point, you'll end up on everybody will end up on the same story path, and then the ending is the ending. The online.
Okay, so it's kind of like a game where you start at the same, but depending on what you do in that final mission, basically is the differences. But it'll start from the beginning based off. It'll
start, and basically, you'll all have different starting points. You'll be like you'll be like a Cal Kestis age type of guy, and you will start, and you will basically it's just where if you choose to be a farmer on frickin' Tatooine or whatever, you'll start on Tatooine, and then. Maybe then if you start on Tatooine, the next mission is to go to this, and then you kind of like work your way. Wherever you start from is where you work from, but eventually you get to a point where it's going to be the same. The first 25% of the story might be a little different than everyone else's, but the last 75% will be the same, no matter what you started as. Just that way you get a difference in feel and that way the story you could play the story more than once, essentially.
Yeah,
and it gives you that open world feeling of like, wow, this is different, and I can do whatever I want to do. The online now, similar concept, but the online is, or not necessarily online, but the open world non-story, whether it's online or not, the non-story tied open world, it's just an open world. You get to choose, you get like, not like a class, but kind of like a class. You start as a smuggler or a bounty hunter, but not like, you aren't like destined to be that thing, but that's what you start off as. That's what and you start in it, but the thing is it kind of takes place like over time, essentially.
Okay.
So like you start and you play, and you say you start off as a smuggler. Your character, you make your character, and that is your character, and it's online, but like your character is your character. There's no making a new character. You can do all. It's kind of like GTA Online. You get your character, and that's it. You don't get to redo. You don't get to remake a character and restart online. You know what I mean? Because it's one continuous game. You start off and say, all right, I'm going to be a smuggler. So you start off with, a certain type of ship. Everybody starts off with a ship and a certain weapon and everything like that. So your ship is a smuggler's type ship. You start off with a certain type of blaster and a certain type of traits to your character. And then it is going to be very similar like GTA, where like you do missions, you get money, and you choose how to spend your money and choose what you want to do. And and if you're a smuggler but you want to take a bounty hunting mission, you can do that. And you can co-op and do online and stuff like that. It'd basically be like a clone of GTA Online, except there is a more Star Warsy feel, and it is kind of a class system. Like, you'll run into a level 50 bounty hunter, or you might run it, you know what I mean, something like that.
Yeah.
You can even be like an Imperial officer or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. There's a cohesive story. That is a story. It's basically, if you cannot tell, we really want a Rockstar GTA type Star Wars open world game, because that's basically what it is. I think that would be perfect. It's the best way to do it, But yeah, that's kind of my thought on that. Yeah, I'm excited for this no matter what. I mean,
oh yeah.
Even if they're stretching the means of an open world concept, I'm still excited just to have any Star Wars game, dude. I've been playing Battlefront 2 a lot lately. Man, that game is awesome.
Oh, I love that game.
Excuse me. I mean, if you were one that in the beginning was like, "Oh, I hate this game. The microtransactions ruin it." Yeah, you're kind of right. Because it got ruined for me and even Al, massive Star Wars fans. But now there's no reason not to be playing this game. It's still good.
That's so good. It's just a shame that they had to stop updating.
I know it is.
More.
I know it is. I know I shouldn't. But it's dude. Battlefront 2, awesome. Been playing the crap out of it. I almost, the other day, I was having just a nostalgia fest playing it, and I'm like, I kind of want to crank out Battlefront 1, the OG, not OG, but the Battlefront, 2015 Battlefront, and stick it in there. Obviously, you couldn't play online on that anymore. I imagine the servers are shut down, but just go on and, like, screw around in the old Battlefront game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I felt, I was about to, and I didn't, but, man, we grew up in a... Well, not grew up. We were in high school, but we were in our prime video game stage when some damn good Star Wars games came out.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
There were some really good ones. Sucks getting old with all these new games coming out that get you really excited. Especially when you didn't want to buy a new console.
Right. And you're just thinking about the Star Wars game, the open world one is, we're definitely going to have to buy a new console. There's no way we're getting it for our PS4s. Like right now, I'm getting by with a PS4, but... Eventually, I'm going to have to buy a friggin' PS5 or Xbox or something. Yeah. So, that's kind of it for that. There isn't... I mean, there's Star Wars news going around, but that is definitely the main thing that everyone's talking about right now, just because, open world Star Wars game has been a pipe dream for probably every Star Wars fan since
open world came about, yeah.
So, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the whole, say what you want about like the sequels and the post Disney Star Wars, basically, as a lot of people might call it. The sequels, and everybody likes The Mandalorian, so I'm not gonna include The Mandalorian on this or anything like that, but all of the, there's a lot of negativity that goes around Star Wars right now. And I'm not saying you can't not like the sequels. Al don't really like the I mean, he likes the
I'll
movies.
Watch them. I like them.
But
I'm not going to sit here and say that.
Al's not a fan, not a absolute lover of the sequels. I'm not either.
No.
I look that way because Al is more towards not liking them side than I. But we both have our grievances with each. I have my grievance with every movie.
Oh, as do I.
Because as a fan, you have to, but I still love them, and I'm just there's and people are saying stuff. I mean, I've heard negative stuff. It's not as often because people are very excited for what's to come with all the new shows and the video games and everything like that. But you you hear a lot of negative stuff about, like, just, oh, Disney's just pushing their agenda for Star Wars, and they're doing this and this because of this, and they're,
Yep.
like, people had a freaking fit when, you remember that show Forces of Destiny? It's like it was on YouTube, now it's on Disney Plus. It's just like little, like, probably 5-minute clips, animated.
Yeah.
And it was centered around the women of Star Wars. Each episode was like, Rey does this, Padme does this, Leia does this. It was always centered around the women of Star Wars. And people, like, had a fit about that. And I was like, dude, who cares? Who cares if they make it's like, oh, it's unfair. They don't make a show for the men of Star Wars. And it's like, really? Every movie is a show for the men of Star Wars. I mean, women are always represented, have always been represented in Star Wars. It's one of the best places for that. But, like, it's like it's just that kind of stuff. They're like, Disney's pushing an agenda. It's like, dude, oh, shut up. Like, just enjoy the content. I understand there's a little bit of agenda pushing, but that's in everything, dude. It's the world we live in, and sometimes you just got to look past it. Everybody was so upset about the girl-on-girl kiss in Rise of Skywalker. It's like,
really?
It's like, does it really make you that mad? I mean, like, would I have been the guy that went there and was like, I absolutely have to see a L2, I guess, lesbian or, LGBT. I got to see some LGBTQ plus representation in this movie. No, I was never like that, because I personally don't care because I'm not one that's like, I have to see this, and I have to see this, and I have to see this, and I don't want to see this. As long as you make it tie into the story, or you don't make it overly,
See, when I heard that there was going to be a same-sex kiss in there, I am not homophobic at all, but I was more scared for the actors and the characters that I thought Poe and Finn were gonna end. The way it started,
dude, I don't think that makes you homophobic, because I felt the same way, because I was like,
that vibe that you got from them right away.
Yeah, right.
They were like real bro,
right
vibe.
And
so it was like, they're not gonna kiss, are they? Because you just totally just kind of derailed everything that you did with them.
Right, and that, to me, if they would have done that, it would have been forced. And I'm all about diversity. If you want to show people of color and represent, maybe you want to represent like disabled people, or like you want to represent, more women into everything, and represent whatever you got to do, whatever you got to get your agenda. Not that's such a mean word or bad mojo word, but like, whatever agenda, whatever thing you want to see in there, fine. Just don't make it subtract from the story, because that's my thing. But like, people just, if you're sitting there complaining like, oh, there was a gay kiss and same-sex kiss in the movie, it's like, dude, it lasted 2 seconds. Even if it lasted 10 seconds,
if you seriously didn't pay attention to that last part and you were focused on it was literally just boop. If you blinked,
literally,
you almost missed it.
It's like, whatever. Like, who? It's like, you know what? If that bothers you, then it bothers you. I can't help you there. Whatever, you do you. Yeah. But like, if it's like, who cares? Just look past it. If you don't like it, look past it. And it's just. But I kind of went off on a tangent there. But I'm just glad that we are at a place with Star Wars where, we're getting new stuff, and people are excited about new stuff again. Because it was kind of, for a while, people were excited for, like, The Force Awakens. Force Awakens came, people were like, I'm still pretty excited for the Episode 8. Episode 8 comes, the fandom got split in half, and it was kind of like a wasteland there between Episode 8 and 9. Episode 9 came out. I'm not the biggest Episode 9 fan, but it, it was still a Star Wars movie, and we left the theater saying it was in our top 5. So, I mean, obviously it impacted us in a certain way. But I'm glad to see Star Wars. To me, doesn't so much feel like the wasteland that it was in between, like, 8 and 9, Episode 8 and 9. Where you just, everything you heard about Star Wars was negative. Everything was shitty. Everything was, there's
a sense of unity now.
Right, there is.
You can feel it.
You can thank The Mandalorian for that.
Oh, yeah, The Mandalorian was huge for that.
You can thank Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. I mean, you can thank everybody, because everybody was involved. But, There is that sense of unity and that sense of wonder and it's almost like it wasn't the sequels. The sequels had their problems, don't get me wrong, and they're definitely up for criticism. Don't get me wrong. But the main problem that happened there was there's too many shitheads in the Star Wars fandom that just made it wasn't the movies that ruined your childhood, it was you shitheads.
Yeah.
And me and Al are critical of the movies, but we still don't have to go and just go online and go the sequels suck, Ray sucks. It's like, oh my god. And that was what ruined it. And I'm glad to see that. I mean, those shitheads are still there. Don't get me wrong, they're still there. I see them every day. But we're getting to a point where those guys don't have the mic anymore. They're not on the stage anymore. They're not the main ones that everyone's listening to and talking about.
Yeah.
Star Wars is in a positive place again, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for not to move past the sequel era or whatever that's in the current era now, but just to move past the negativity and get back into going on to Star Wars news and not everything being freaking negative. Because everything on Star Wars news lately has been pretty good, and I'm so thankful for it. But, while you're over there looking at the Star Wars news, you might want to go ahead and head on over to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places you can find us, Imperial Radio, and you will find that our cover photos, our logo for Imperial Radio, is different. I went ahead and got on I made our own logo.
Looks great too. Just check it out.
It
looks great.
I really like it. But new logo up for all the social medias and everything. That is going to be the official Imperial Radio logo. So in case you're wondering, I might change it around a little bit, but right now it's I like where it's at right now. But anyway, head on over to Twitter. That is the main place you can get in contact with us, see kind of what we're up to on the Twitters and everything like that. And that is at Imperial Radio P1 on Twitter. That is at Imperial Radio P1. If you want to email us, get in direct contact with us, and hit us up with some questions, you can always do that, and you can go email us. ImperialRadio66 at gmail.com is our email. That is at ImperialRadio66 at gmail.com. Hit us up with questions, concerns. If you want to be like, yo, these guys freaking suck, or like, yo, these guys are awesome, or whatever, just hit us up. Hit us up with questions.
Yeah,
and stuff.
we love to hear from you guys.
We'd love to hear from the fans. If you're out there, if you're listening, don't be afraid to write in. We're cool guys. We can read questions on air. We can just, if you just want to send us a message, be like, hey, don't read this on air. This is just to you personally. That's cool with us too. Go on over to Facebook and Instagram. Not a whole lot going on over there right now, but there will be the occasional life update type of, or just memes and whatnot. It's going on there. And that you can go ahead and type at Imperial Radio Podcast on both of those places, and then we will come up. TikTok, there's always something good going on TikTok.
Oh,
always some good things going on TikTok.
Great platform for getting stuff out there.
At Imperial Radio, or not, excuse me, just type in Imperial Radio. I believe we're at Imperial Radio, but just type in Imperial Radio. We'll come right up, and you can watch the TikToks. So, yeah, that is the stuff. That's the places to go. Keep listening. Subscribe, comment down below.
Hit that bell.
Hit that bell for notification. We are on YouTube. So if you guys want to listen to us on YouTube and not your usual, if you're listening to us most likely on Spotify, Podbean, YouTube is another viable option for that. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for coming on and recording with me tonight.
Oh, absolutely,
buddy. That's pretty much all I got. So you guys have a good one, and may the Force be with you.